I believe is the unsung hero in the Vitify lineup, and that's this little beauty right here, Symbiofy. Has everybody tried or utilized Symbiofy? Raise your hand if you've tried it. Awesome. Raise your hand if you've not tried it yet. Got a few that haven't tried it yet. Well, after this, I believe that you're going to want to try this amazing technology as well. And everybody's excited about our BioMS technology, our curcumin, right? It's just second to none. But this formula here is very unique. It's not quite as exciting, right? People have heard about probiotics. They think they've seen, all there is to know about this, topic. But the combination in here is special. It's unique. I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm going to share with you why I believe it's one of our top products as well. And so I'm going to share my screen if possible here. All right. And let's see, Tyler, let me know if you can see my screen. Got a thumbs up. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
Yes.
So, of course, we have to start off with sharing the disclaimer. This is not intended to replace professional medical recommendations. It's only for informational, educational purposes. If you have any of the following symptoms, you should see your licensed healthcare professional for diagnosis and treatment of medical conditions, right? So here we go. This is Symbiofy. This is a synergistic advanced formula with some just pretty amazing ingredients. So we're going to talk this morning about prebiotics. Have you heard of prebiotics? Have you heard of probiotics? Most people have heard of that. Have you heard of symbiotics? All right, that's probably a new one to several of you. And have you heard of postbiotics? All right, and I'm excited to share all of these and how they're connected to this amazing technology. And so symbiotics are products that contain both prebiotics and probiotics, whose objective is to restore and or maintain the good health of the intestinal microbiota. So where do we get the term symbio from? In Symbiofy, it's the pre and probiotic synergy, right? And of course, the phi in Symbiofy is from Vitify. So prebiotics, you might already know this, but are specialized plant fibers. They act as fertilizers, right? They feed your good bacteria. And this product contains these specialized plant fibers. In fact, it contains 9 different plant fibers. So if you look at those ingredients there, the chicory inulin, the prickly pear cactus, the rice bran, the flax, the apple fiber, the plum fruit, the guar seed, Jamaica flower, all in here, 670 milligrams of those are contained in 4 capsules. I've never seen quite an array of this many prebiotic contents in a single product before. And of course, we talk about probiotics. They're the living organisms, right? They're the good bugs in our gut. If there's sufficient quantities, they produce beneficial effects, of course, in optimum health. And so as far as probiotics in the Symbiofy, there's 5 billion colony-forming units per sachet. That's a chunk, right? That's a solid amount of probiotics. And probably, arguably, the 2 most important probiotics are contained in here, both lactobacillus as well as bifidobacterium. So the human microbiota, this is very interesting. The human body is made up of approximately 70 trillion cells. About 30 trillion of those are human, and about 40 trillion are microbial. So that means by that measure, you're only about 43% human, okay? The rest of you is bacteria, all right? That's kind of interesting to think about, right? So the gut microbiota refers to the community that's living in your gut, right? The microorganisms that's living in your intestines. So we talked about the 40 trillion bacteria. They produce metabolites that have various health effects. This is important to remember, guys. 70 to 80% of your body's immune cells are concentrated in your intestine, right? This is pretty important. 100 million neurons are located throughout the gut that produce various neurotransmitters that regulate mood and satiety. Have you guys ever heard that the gut is the second brain? Have you heard that term before? And the gut-brain axis, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Did you know that 95% of the body's total serotonin is found in the gut? 95% of the body's serotonin is found in the gut. The gut bacteria also produce 50% of your body's dopamine. 50% is from the gut. The gut bacteria also produce a neurotransmitter called GABA. Of course, these play significant roles in our mood, our energy, our emotions, right? Does it make any sense at all to try to treat mental health if with other things, if we're not also focusing in on the gut, right? Does that make sense? But most of the time, are people getting treated? Is their gut getting treated when they're getting help with maybe depression or maybe anxiety, right? They're getting help with medications often, but are those medications improving their gut where most of those neurotransmitters are produced? Not generally, right? So important to address the gut. So you probably heard we talk about gut microbiota. You probably heard the term microbiome. Is the set of the microorganisms plus their genes and their metabolites. That's called the gut microbiome. All right, so this is very interesting. There's 9.9 million microbial genes. Okay, so those bacteria in our gut, right, those 40 trillion have 9.9 million genes that interact with our body, have been identified in the human microbiome. And just to give you an idea, our human genes, right, our human genome only has about 20 to 25,000 genes. That's it. Our whole human body, 25,000 genes. Our microbiome, 9.9 million genes. I found that startling. So the functions of the gut microbiota is it makes B12, vitamin K, folate. It teaches our immune system to tell from friend versus foe, right? That's important, especially to prevent things like autoimmune disease where the immune system gets confused and starts attacking us, right? It produces those metabolites that we talked about that travels around and communicates with all parts of the body. It defends against harmful microorganisms. It influences the calories we harvest from our food. And like we talked about, there's the gut-brain axis that helps produce neurotransmitters in our gut as well. So we talked briefly about the gut-brain connection. If we have a healthy gut function, we're likely going to have healthy central nervous system function. If we have abnormal gut function, we're also going to have abnormal central nervous system function. And so stress and disease like intestinal dysbiosis, which we're going to talk about, altered levels of inflammatory cells and mediators, alterations in behavior and cognition as a result of an unhealthy gut, right? So there's much more than just the brain-gut axis or the gut-brain axis. There's also a hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal gut axis. Say that 5 times fast, right? There's an immune gut axis. There's a heart gut axis. And there's a skin gut axis, right? Look how important our gut is to the rest of our body. Oftentimes we just think of the gut as important for digestion and elimination. But I would argue that the gut is probably the most important thing we need to focus on if we're interested in our health or if we're treating our health or we're supporting our health. We have to concentrate on the gut. So the Symbio5, of course, has what we talked about, the pre and the probiotics. It has the fiber blend with the 9 different fibers. It also has an herbal detox formula. And this is probably what I think is the most exciting part of this formula. We could do all morning just talking about the benefits of these ingredients right here. And I'd encourage you to do that sometime, is to just Google these different herbal formulas, these different items, these different superfoods, and what the benefits are to the body. It will blow you away just what these ingredients alone can do. And there's 530 milligrams of these ingredients per sachet. And of course, these are mostly focused as a gentle detox, right? We live in a very toxic world, a very toxic environment. And um, we have to take into consideration that our body sometimes needs help in getting rid of some of that, right? So they oftentimes call them xenobiotics, things like pesticides and herbicides and endocrine disrupting chemicals like plastics, prescription drugs and heavy metals and pollutants, right? Our body has to detox all of that we're exposed to on a daily basis. Watching my time here, making sure I don't go too slow here. It also contains magnesium, arguably the most important mineral that we have in our body. Is a cofactor for more than 300 enzyme systems that regulate diverse biochemical reactions in the body, including protein synthesis, muscle and nerve function, blood glucose control, and blood pressure regulation. This article here talks about the subclinical magnesium deficiency as a principal driver of cardiovascular disease and public health crisis. So these are the different symptoms that we could possibly run into with low magnesium. So I think it was brilliant that they thought about magnesium as a component of this formula. Not only that, but you probably also know that magnesium helps with elimination, right? And some people use magnesium just to kind of help keep things moving. And one of my tips is, and we do this a lot in our practice, is we measure in the bloodstream, we measure red blood cell magnesium. So typically what's measured is called serum magnesium. And from my experience, unless you're on death's doorstep, serum magnesium rarely shows low or insufficient. Red blood cell magnesium, they actually measure the magnesium that's inside your red blood cell, is a better indicator of your magnesium levels. And so if you get your blood drawn, request red blood cell magnesium versus serum magnesium. That's just a tip. All right. So the problem we want to solve is intestinal dysbiosis or imbalance, right? So that's a big word that just simply means that there's an alteration of the balance of good guys to bad guys, right? In favor of the bad guys. So when that shift happens in our body, they call that intestinal dysbiosis. And so factors that alter that are things we already talked about, right? The chemicals, the toxins that we're exposed to. And how that impacts the body is in a wide array of potential symptoms, potential disease processes caused by alterations in that microbiome, including esophagitis and esophageal adenocarcinoma, asthma, allergies, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome and obesity, rheumatoid arthritis, autism, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, inflammatory bowel disease, colorectal cancers, and various kinds of autoimmune diseases. So this one here says that we still need to run some tests, Mr. Glavner, but we think you may have leaky gut syndrome, right? Anybody heard the term leaky gut syndrome? That's what I think about when I hear that term. But dysbiosis and leaky gut are probably the biggest things we have to overcome in our gut situation here. So these are different things that can lead to leaky gut. Some of the things we talked about, but even things like chronic antibiotic or NSAID use, right, or ibuprofens, mercury, heavy metals, traumatic brain injury, gut dysbiosis, which we just talked about, hormone imbalance, chronic inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, our diet, things like gluten, in some are nightshade sensitivity, right? Too much sugar, too many inflammatory fats and seed oils. Our lifestyle, things again like environmental toxins, not enough sleep, alcohol, chronic stress, liver toxicity. These are all things that can contribute to gut dysbiosis as well as leaky gut. So what leaky gut means, let me look at my time here. All right. What leaky gut means is that this is a healthy gut lining. If we were to take a cross section of your gut, you looked at the cells in your intestines, these are what they look like. These are little villi. This is where we absorb our nutrients, right? These here are where the cells come together, are called tight junctions. And they keep things we don't want out, okay? So we get dysbiosis we end up getting leaky gut. Look at this over here. We get these little villi get chewed up, and due to the stress on the gut, causes the production of a protein called zonulin. And too much zonulin starts to open up these tight junctions. And can you tell that they're not so tight anymore, right? So this is where we get the term leaky. Okay, so now we have things passing through the gut lining. We have increased permeability of this gut lining, and things are ending up in the bloodstream that never should be. Okay, and so one of the things when we deal with autoimmune disease, for example, is called molecular mimicry, where we'll pick on gluten, right? Because everybody else does. So gluten gets through here into the bloodstream where the immune system is. Okay, immune system says, I don't know what that is, but I don't like it. And once the immune system has decided that gluten is a bad guy, it doesn't try to figure it out next time, right? It's convinced. It tells all its buddies that this is a bad guy. It puts up, the kill on sight signs all over, right? So when it sees that gluten, it automatically triggers an immune response. This can lead us down the pathway of autoimmune disease. For example, the body could say, or the immune system could say, you know what, that protein in that gluten kind of looks like the protein in her thyroid. Maybe it's a bad guy too, right? And now we're dealing with something like Hashimoto's, right? Or Graves' disease, all stemming from gut dysbiosis and leaky gut. So restoring the balance is super important, and that's what we're here talking about, this amazing technology, the technology with this Symbiofy. We have the prebiotics, we have the probiotics, we have the detox herbal blend, we have the lactobacillus. These are some of the many things that lactobacillus has been shown to do with gut health and improving that immune barrier and leaky gut, improves lactose digestion, GI symptoms, reduces the duration of diarrhea post-antibiotics, fiber digestion, and the production of postbiotics. We're going to talk briefly about postbiotics. The bifidobacterium, again, many of the same things, but immune health, especially allergies, breaks down ammonia, eliminates those xenobiotics we talked about, reduces symptoms of celiac and other inflammatory bowel diseases, is a major anti-inflammatory in the gut, again, breaks down that fiber, producing postbiotics. So what are postbiotics? So we ingest the dietary fiber. This causes the bacteria, our good bacteria, ferment, break down that dietary fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids. Okay, short-chain fatty acids are our postbiotics. And so these are some of the benefits of short-chain fatty acids. We could probably talk all day about these, but anything from anti-diabetes, from increased insulin sensitivity, anti-cancer benefits, liver protection, cardiovascular protection, neuroprotection, of course, bowel health, inflammatory bowel disease treatment, immune regulation, anti-inflammation, anti-obesity, from these short-chain fatty acids or the postbiotics. All right, so these are some of the well-known benefits of probiotics, prebiotics, postbiotics, right? And lots of different amazing things here. Anti-disease, anti-obesity, anti-diabetes, anti-allergy, cancer, inflammation, a source of B vitamins. It improves the central nervous system and brain function, reduces blood pressure, cholesterol normalization, lactose metabolism and digestion, and of course the immune response from infections. All right, so this is what our combination is here, right? All of these things in these 4 capsules. I don't know if you can see my camera or not, but it looks like that. Okay, it's one of these a day is all that's required. And what I suggest is to do those either first thing in the morning or at night before bed. But what's important to do with this, because of that detoxing effect, is to have a nice big glass of water with it, right? And so if you wonder when to take it and you can't do much water at night because you'll get up and go to the bathroom, you probably ought to do these in the morning, okay? But you can also do those at night. 1 sachet a day is recommended. Here's what I do. This is not necessarily a Vitify recommendation, but this is what I do in my practice. If somebody no matter what the health condition that comes in, our patients need 3 months of the SymBioFi. Okay, no matter what, 3 months of SymBioFi. Now, if they have milder health issues and not a lot of gut or autoimmune or significant inflammatory conditions, then we might transition them to something like 1 box a month, right? So each of these has 10 days, right? 10 days worth of product in there, 10 sachets, 10 packets. So they might only do 1 a month. If they have significant illness, significant health challenges, they need to be on this daily for a long period of time. Does that make sense? And so probably what's more important than just supplementation is lifestyle. We also have to teach lifestyle. We want to have a healthy lifestyle, including healthy diet, plenty of water, plenty of sleep, and moving your body, right? Those are all important things. So that's all I had to share with you about SymBioFi. I'm going to wrap that portion up and turn off my slideshow.